Hello and welcome back to another LeetCode video. This is LeetCode 3692 majority frequency characters. It's an easy problem. However, easy means it's an excellent opportunity to practice for interviews with it, where we focus on the communication aspect, problem solving approach, and those kind of things. And where the difficulty of the problem tends not to get into the way of following the structured process. So let's dive into it and yeah, let's first understand what this problem is about, because I have not tried this before and I'm seeing this for the first time. Right, so we are given a string S consisting of lowercase English letters. The frequency group for a value k is the set of characters that appear exactly k times in S. The majority frequency group is the frequency group that contains the largest number of distinct characters. Return a string containing all characters in the majority frequency group in any order. If two or more frequency groups tie for the largest size, pick the group whose frequency k is larger. Okay, and what are the constraints? So we're getting the string S, right, that contains characters. And S has at least one character in it. And it consists of only lowercase English letters. Oh, nice. All right, so maybe let's go through an example to understand this a little bit better. So here we have a long input string that consists of A's, B's, C's, and D's, and an E. And so now let's see what it computes here. So it computes the frequency of every character. So the computes the frequency of every single character. But why not of A? Frequency of AB is 2. So that's AB. Why is AB? Oh, the character A and the character B occur 3 times. That's what that means. Okay, cool. I understand now. So, and since there are 2 characters that have a frequency of 3, the group size is 2. So, because this is the largest group size, we return, what do we return? Well, a string that contains of these characters. And I assume that if we had a group size that has also 2 characters, but has a higher frequency, yeah, then we need to return that one. Cool. Second example. So now we have a string that has all characters only once. So all of the frequency is 1, and this is the only group, and the group size is 4, so we return all of those. Cool. Next example. So we have, what do we have here? We have P, F, G, I, and P and F occur twice, and G and I occur only once. So G and I have a frequency of 1. P and F have a frequency of 2. Both group sizes are the same, but the majority is in this case the one that has the larger frequency. All right, so I guess we need to compute first, what is the frequency for every character? And then we need to group characters by their frequency. And then we can determine, what is the group size. And we can determine, well, if we have a tie between 2 group sizes, we pick the one with the higher frequency. Okay, so I'm thinking we need a linear pass over the input string to build up our, maybe a frequency map. Then we have to invert the frequency map, because every character is going to be a key in a character to frequency hash map maybe. And then we need to invert that so that we have the frequency mapped to the characters. And then we just iterate over all of these groups and pick the one that has the highest group count. If there's a tie, we pick the one that has the higher frequency. So yeah, I think we need an O of n time and space solution for this. Linear iteration over the array, then another one over all of the, I guess, frequency counts to build the inverted hash map. Cool. So that would be my approach. O of n time and space in the worst case. And well, step 1 is going to be to determine all of these frequencies. So we're going to have a frequency. Maybe we should call it frequency as a default dict, maybe int, so that we have the counts in there, and we just iterate over all of the characters in S, and frequency of that character is going to be increased. So now we need to invert the whole thing. So now what should we call this? Naming things is one of the most difficult things in computer science. So how should we call this? Maybe we should call this groups. And we're going to use a default dict again, but this time the key is not going to be the character, it's going to be the frequency. And we're going to have a list or a set, doesn't really matter, because all elements will be unique in there. So we'll just iterate over the character and frequency, or count, you could say count. Character and the count in our little frequency hash map. And we're going to say, well, groups at, let's call this frequency. At frequency, well, we're going to add or append the character. Now the last step is to iterate over all of these groups to determine the result. So the result is going to be none in the beginning. And well, now we just iterate over frequency for frequency, and for group in groups items. Now, and the result, we're going to pick an empty, let's initialize it as an empty list in the beginning. So now what we will do is we'll compare the length of our result group with basically with the group that we are iterating over. So that's the first comparison. If length of the result is smaller than the length of the group, right? Then that means we're going to pick the group as the result. Now, if the length of result is equal to the length of the group, then we have to check, if the frequency is the same. So we also need to store the result frequency. Right. So what we'll do here is set it frequency, and now we do the comparison. If result frequency is smaller than the frequency of the group, well, then we're also going to update our result. Those are the two cases where we choose the next group. And then in the end, we just have to return the result. Now, they are returned as a string. So, but result is an array, right? So we have to combine it to a string. And we do that like so. And I'm pretty sure that's it. So let me just see if it passes the test cases. Maybe it finds a syntax error or something. Hopefully no logic error. And, oh, I see result. What's this? Unterminated string literal at line. Return. That was a weird one. I also didn't take a lot of time to look at the error. Let's try again. Oh, it was maybe because I was mixing single and double quotes. All right, so the test cases pass. Let's see if we can pass all of the tests by submitting the problem. And it does, very nice. And if you wanted to, you could also combine this if statements and like so. And if you wanted, you could even combine the if and the else here. So if that is the case, or the whole other thing is the case, then you could also, that's a little bit more difficult to read. So when you reason out a problem, typically pays off to favor clarity over trying to keep the code short or something else. Right, so this concludes this problem, and on to the next one.